Welcome to Matters Financial and Geopolitical from a Frontier. Thank you for stopping by. I am not convinced he is fit to run for president, Mr. Murathe told the Financial Times repeatedly in an interview at his private residence in Nairobi. He added that Mr. Ruto had focused on strengthening his own political and financial position and failed to support the president's agenda. If he can behave like this when he is number 2, how will he behave when he is number 1? Because then he would have the absolute power to ride roughshod over everybody. Murathe insisted that his opinions were his own, but many observers say he's acting as a proxy for his friend Mr. Kenyatta. He stepped down from his position in the ruling party in January, saying he could no longer work with Mr. Ruto in good faith. The importance of Murathe is that nobody thinks he is speaking for himself, said Murathe Mutiga, a Kenyan expert at the International Crisis Group. In the minds of the public, he is seen as speaking for a powerful camp within Jubilee that is mobilizing against Ruto. Ruto said, "I haven't responded to David Murathe in Kenya and I won't respond to him in Europe. He doesn't merit any response." Mutiga said, "You will have less focus on the government's very ambitious program and more on jockeying for position ahead of a very high-stakes transition. The Rift Valley is the beating heart of the country, strategically and economically, and the hostilities were never settled. The Jubilee coalition papered over the cracks." In an article I'd written on the 28th of January, I said Africa Confidential are characterizing it as three's a crowd. And I was saying history teaches us that incumbency has all the advantages. It's a fluid political situation and a number of chess pieces are being moved. Safaricom's market cap is $10.456 billion. Its PE ratio is 18.949. According to Kobo 3, Fulitsa, the overdraft service, has lent $70 million and recruited 5 million subscribers in 6 weeks. Bob Collymore was quoted in the BBC. It's a bit short-sighted because if you look at Kenya, the banks that really work are the ones that work with M-Pesa. We really don't see ourselves in competition with banks. We see ourselves in competition with cash. Knight Frank on real estate says prime residential prices decreased by 4.5% in 2018. Nairobi all shares up 11.23% this year. NSE 20 is up 6.67% this year. Longhorn Kenya reported first half profit before tax accelerated 73.128%. Sales were up 35.856%. Profit before tax up 73.128%. Cash position close to 700% better. They attributed the turnover increase to the growth of volumes in Kenya and the regional markets. Said the sale of publishing rights in the regional markets generated higher margins as compared to normal book sales. Successfully completed distribution of close to 500,000 copies of textbooks to public secondary schools across the country. Digital transformation strategy has led to the repurposing of content in mobile platforms, audio and video forms, and they're speaking of continued growth in Rwanda, Uganda, Tanzania, Malawi, and Zambia. It's an interesting and inexpensive prospect. And that goes back to an article I wrote early in the year when I said education is blowing hot. Thank you so much for stopping by.